I usually just, work by experience. And even when I'm showing them the home, I go over the entire process of the contract as well so that they know what's to come down the road. And then I just stick with them from start to finish.
Welcome to the Dream Home Podcast, the show where real estate meets real talk. Hosted by John Nagle, a seasoned expert with over $7 billion in real estate financing experience. This podcast features top realtors, builders, and financial pros. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, we've got the tools to help you make smarter moves. Here's your host, John Nagle.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Dream Home Podcast, where we explore the communities, people, and programs that help turn your dreams of home ownership into reality. I'm your host, John Nagle with CMG Home Loans. Today's guest is an absolute standout in the world of real estate. I'm thrilled to welcome Michelle Sadownick, a top producing real estate agent based in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. With over 20 years of experience, a background in interior design, and a concierge-level approach to service, Michelle has helped countless buyers, sellers, and investors achieve their real estate goals. And here's something really exciting. Michelle was recently selected as a host on the national TV show American Dream, where she shares her expertise and showcases the incredible lifestyle and communities of Delray Beach and beyond. Today, we're diving into her secrets for success, her tips for navigating today's market, and why South Florida living is simply unmatched. Michelle, welcome to the Dream Home Podcast. We appreciate your taking time to visit with us today.
Thank you so much, John. My pleasure.
Yeah, so Michelle, let's kick things off with a big question. What would you say are your real estate superpowers? What makes you stand out so much from other agents?
Well, most of my clients give me 5 stars on Google, and also some of them say that I'm a rock star. My goal is to make every client that I work with feel like they're the only one that I'm working with. I think that a lot of my skills are communication. I am always on top of communicating, making sure that my client is aware of every aspect of a transaction throughout the whole entire process. There's never a moment where they feel like, oh, well, you didn't call me, you didn't tell me. I think it's all about communication.
That's awesome for sure. And with so much competition in Palm Beach County, what's something your clients often say about working with you after they close on their home?
That I'm the best, that I'm a rock star, and that I showed them homes that they normally wouldn't have seen, or I had more knowledge than most agents, and just the way that I worked with them in general, the concierge white glove service that I provide. I would pick them up at the airport if they needed to. I would pick them up at their hotels. When I take them out, I bring them water, treats, and when they come to my office, I have a little welcome packet for them, like all set up.
Oh, that's awesome. I can see where the white glove comes in. That's amazing. You go to that level of service for your buyers and sellers. So buying or selling a home, especially for first-timers or relocators, can feel overwhelming. How do you help guide your clients through those big moments?
Well, through educating. I educate them throughout the whole entire process. First, it starts with the presentation of what it's like to purchase a home. Now, of course, I've purchased 2 homes, so I know what it feels like, and I know how emotional it could be. I've also taken out a couple loans, so during that loan process, I know how that feels too. So I usually just, work by experience, and even when I'm showing them the home, I go over the entire process of the contract as well, so that they know what's to come down the road. And then I just stick with them from start to finish.
Yeah, so you really step with them all along the way and make sure they know exactly what's going on with each step. That's a great way to do business and to gain more referrals, that's for sure. So can you tell us about a time when a client faced a major challenge and how you helped overcome it?
Sure. Well, we all know that in Florida, there's a possibility of being mold in a home or in a unit.
Okay.
And a lot of times you don't even know that it's there. So when a buyer buys a home, they do an inspection. And a lot of times they don't do the mold inspection because it's expensive and it takes a couple days for the mold reports to come back. And I've overcome those situations in a couple different transactions. One of them was just recently, I actually worked with the buyer and the seller. So we discovered that there was a black mark in the ceiling in the garage. So of course we had to have that tested. So they tested it. It came out having to be black mold. So we immediately got a mold mediator to come in. The inspection company was amazing. They recommended somebody to do the mold remediation and got rid of it within a week and then had it re-inspected and we were able to close on time.
Well, that's
And the buyer was a little bit concerned because when they lived in New York, they had that issue and it was a big deal to him. So of course I had to keep everybody calm throughout the transaction and make sure that everybody felt comfortable moving forward.
Well, I always love this part of the show. Let's talk about something truly awesome. What's one of your proudest or most heartwarming client success stories?
Oh, wow. You know what? It's when a first-time buyer gets the same opportunity that I've had. When I first bought my home, I didn't buy my first home until I was 40. And so, of course, I didn't have money until I started getting into the real estate industry. I was always living paycheck to paycheck. I was an executive assistant, but I didn't make a lot of money. So when I'm working with a buyer that gets that same opportunity to buy like new construction and the developer helps them out and gives them, special incentives to close and they get to buy that home. And it's like a dream come true. And I love making that. And it just makes me feel like warm inside.
Yeah, it's so rewarding, isn't it? Especially it's their first home to just see how happy they are and how you literally change their lives for the future and their future generations as well through the wealth building aspect. So stories like that really show how impactful your work is. What continues to inspire you every day in your career?
Well, I think that I have a mission to help people achieve the American dream of homeownership. And when I grew up, I didn't feel like I had a home. And so, and my parents were divorced. And so we kind of moved from one place to another. So I really cherish homeownership. And I really think that everybody deserves to have a safe place to live and a nice roof over their head and a place where at the end of the day, they can rest, just relax and be like, I'm home.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you have such a diverse background, real estate, design, national TV, and you offer so many resources. What key tools or systems do you use that really change the experience for your clients?
John, that's a tough one. So every year I'm improving my systems. And I have my own website, so I can bring them to the website. I use the multiple listing. I send them listings all the time when they pop up, but most of the stuff that I send my clients is like handpicked. And I usually do things all myself. I'm very hands-on and I make sure that anything that is done through me. And we have our own title company, so that helps the transaction go a lot smoother. I have partners that I work with for lending. Anytime there is a doubt in my mind about anything in a transaction, like on the contract or something, I always have a resource to go to. My broker's amazing. They answer my calls. They give me amazing support. I don't know if I answered that for you.
No, you did. And I know you're big on social media, so you do a lot of things that are, between the American Dream TV and your other social media, you're out there presenting and kind of teaching people about, what the process is and learning about real estate. So those are really good systems. And the white glove piece comes back again, because as you mentioned, you're hand selecting those homes. You're not just kind of doing a search and all of a sudden these 3 or 4 pop up. So you send them, 10 listings, right? So you're doing it.
Yeah, no way. I make sure. Yeah. And so what I do is I utilize the services that are provided to me by the multiple listing service. Basically, a lot of things that I'll look at is, the roofs. Insurance is big nowadays. People are afraid of the insurance. They think that moving to Florida, they're going to not be able to get insurance. So, of course, we have to navigate through that. And, so I look at the roofs. I make sure that the roof is at least, is not over 20 years. And if it is, I make sure I tell them and I give them a choice. Would you like to see the home or, would you like to chance it? The inspector may be able to give you 5 years on the roof and then we could move forward through the contract. And that way, you'll still be able to get insurance. It may not be as cheap as you want, but, we'll be able to get you insurance. Your lender will help you. On the other hand, I also take the time to look at where the property is located. So in Florida, you might be sitting on 95 in like Lake Ida. So you're going to hear road noise. Or even like some of the homes that are in the 55 and over communities, the reason they're priced the way they are is because they're near the turnpike. So I will make sure that I let them know that before we go see the home, because time is important, and I think that I value your time and I hope that they value my time as well. So I don't want to bring them to a home and have them walk in and be like, oh, no, I can hear the road noise. So, I really make sure that I research before I take them out.
Yeah, and being familiar with the area is so important that you're able to do that pre-screening for them, basically, because that is a big thing. Because a lot of real estate agents would take somebody to that home that's a better price point, maybe, but and not even think about that the road noise might be a factor for their client. So that's really a smart way to do business and very good and beneficial for your clients. So in looking at the market today, are there any big trends, opportunities, or investment insights that buyers or sellers should be aware of right now?
Well, I think it's a lot of speculation. I think the media is telling the buyers to wait, and, you can always buy now. And then, even if the interest rate is high, you can refinance later. When I bought my first home, it was 6.25%. And then I refinanced and now I'm at 4.25%. And I would do it again in a heartbeat, even at 7%. The industry it fluctuates. We're like the stock market. We go up, we go down. If buying is a dream of yours, go ahead, make your dream come true. That's how I feel. And I work with a lot of buyers, and I have a lot of buyers out there that I'm still working with. And a lot of the young kids, they're not afraid to purchase a home because they want the American dream. Absolutely. And I wish I started at 21. And I love working with first-time home buyers. They listen. They eat it up.
That's awesome. And, that's such an important point, because when you're paying someone else rent, your rent is going to pay down their mortgage and they're getting the benefit of that appreciation on that home. When you own your own home, you're getting the benefit of appreciation and you're paying down that principal each month like a savings account. So there's so many benefits to owning that home. And when you rent, your rent is going to go up over time, right? So it's not going to stay the same. Mm-hmm. And in some cases, for people that are renting a single family home, for example, the owner might decide to sell. So all of a sudden you don't even have a home to live in anymore on a renting basis. So there's lots of reasons to purchase a home. And, we have a program called Rate Rebound, where for 5 years, we will refinance for free with no charges from the lender, waiving appraisal, all that sort of thing, for that very reason you're talking about, because all the expectations now with the direction inflation is going and the jobs market is going, that rates are going to continue to go down. And these are very good rates. So I agree with you 100% there.
I'm excited. I'm thinking about buying another investment property.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great investment, because then your renter, when you invest, your renter is paying your mortgage for you and you're getting that appreciation benefit and, again, building wealth over time. So it's a great investment to have an investment property for sure.
Barry Habib says, marry the house, date the rate.
There you go. That is a good one. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Barry knows what he's talking about. That is for sure. giving us his daily updates for sure.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, I love that. My biggest issue is getting that time in the morning when he does the update to make sure that I can get it in, right? Because things pile up on you, but it's awesome. He's an awesome individual, and his company does a great job. So let's walk through it step by step. What's the full experience like when someone chooses to work with Michelle Sadownick?
Well, okay. Well, first, I like to find out, the criteria that they're looking for in a home, what it is that's most important to their lifestyle. Do they like to cook? Do they want a pool in their backyard? Do they like to swim? What do they do on their downtime? So this goes back to the lifestyle. So, I like to find out if they have a pet, or if they like to play tennis or pickleball, or how often they want to go to the beach, because that makes a really big difference on location. I think it's really important to find out those things because location is key. When people come to Florida, they come to Florida for the sunshine and they come to Florida for the beach. So, how far they want to be from the beach is really important. And, if they have a dog, we have to make sure that we find a dog-friendly community for them. And so there's a lot of details that I have to learn about from them in order to find out the perfect home for them. It's more about what's their emotional attachment to the home? What is it that they're looking for in a home? And where are they planning to, plant their roots, and who are they planting those roots with?
Yeah.
And so from there, after the interview part, I'll show them on a big screen, what areas will fit their criteria and their budget. And, and then while we're going through that, I will just casually talk about if they're going to be financing or paying cash. And then, they'll disclose it. And then after that, we'll pick a few homes to go see, and we'll set a date, and we'll see like 5 or 6 homes. And then if they don't like any of those homes, then we'll say, okay, it's okay. I didn't expect you to choose the first home on our first date. But so we'll go out again when you're ready. And I don't sell them the first home. I don't sell them a home like sometimes for a couple months. I've worked with people for 3 years. I'm truly about the client and making sure that I sell them what they want and the right property.
Yep, that makes total sense. Total sense.
So, yeah. And then after we go under contract, it's all about, the timeline and making sure that they're meeting all the deadlines in the contracts and keeping them calm and just making sure that they, are happy and they stay happy with the property and they're still excited, and keeping the excitement going during the whole entire process. I think that's what I do the best. I call them up. I say, hey, this property came on the market. Let's go see it. I'm just I'm really excited for them, and I'm really excited about the process, and I try to keep them excited.
Yeah, well, that's really important because there are a lot of steps along the way, and some of them feel like bumps, as they're going through it. So to have someone there with that enthusiasm to keep their looking at the goal, we're going to get into this new home, and how rewarding that is when you do close on the home and get them into that new home. It's very exciting as well. So, and if someone is thinking about relocating to beautiful South Florida, maybe they're unsure if now is the right time, what would you say to them?
Well, I honestly, the truth is, I would encourage them to move to Florida and give them the reasons why they should. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's going to be their decision, and they have to be comfortable with their choice. I just let them know that I'm here whenever they're ready.
Yep. Yes.
I don't do high pressure sales.
Yeah.
I don't do that well.
No, I think that's a good approach because a lot of people, I'm a lot like that in many ways as well. You figure you're going to be there, present the service, and if people are ready, they're ready, but you don't want to, push anyone ahead of what their comfort level is. That's for sure.
Yeah, because, they'll get nervous and then they won't want to purchase the home. And, then they might have found the perfect home and then they back out and then they're like, oh, I should have done it. I should have pulled the trigger on that house.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is what you mentioned earlier, that right now you're able to get, seller concessions. A couple of years ago, those were just not happening very often because the market was so tight and people were doing multiple offers on a property. You might get 10 offers on one property. There were escalation clauses where someone was saying, yes, I'll pay you X amount over your purchase price. And today that is not the case. And if you wait until interest rates come down, which may be a few months or in the next, 12 to 18 months, then we may be back in that same situation again, where now more buyers qualify, so you have more competition, and you're not going to get those kind of benefits of the seller concessions or builder concessions, incentives, and so on. So I think that's the biggest thing is you're losing out on time, that appreciation and that paying down a principal by if you wait 6 months to purchase, you're going to miss out on those benefits of that, the value of that home increasing and your principal pay down. So. And you can always get the rate to go down. It's exactly what you said. You're dating the rate, right? You can always get it down the road. So, well, Michelle, thank you for sharing your story, your knowledge, and your passion with us today. It's clear why you're not only a top producing agent, but also why the American Dream TV show chose you to represent South Florida living at its finest. For everyone listening, if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in one of the most dynamic real estate markets in the country, and you want an expert who delivers a personalized, white glove experience, be sure to connect with Michelle Sadownick. You can find all of her contact information in the show notes or visit her online at michellesadownick.com. And if you're thinking about financing your next home, I'm here to help with expert lending solutions at dreamhomepodcast.com and CMG Home Loans. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who dreams of South Florida sunshine. See you next time on the Dream Home Podcast. And Michelle, thanks again so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
We really appreciate your time and looking forward to having a very good year. I'm sure you will in this upcoming year going forward.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time as well.
All right, take care.
Thanks for listening to the Dream Home Podcast, hosted by John Nagle. Ready to take the next step toward your dream home? Visit www.dreamhomepodcast.com for resources, tips, and expert advice. If you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe, leave a review, and join us next time for more real estate insights and mortgage tips. Until then, happy home hunting.